Yep, here we are. Here we are.
There's another thing Jen said. Say Bubble says, I love the way or I felt that or something. You're not allowed to say back to Bubbles. You're not that.
We were just listening to Priscilla's conversation there. All right, so we're gonna start in about 4 minutes. We have about 130 people registered, but we'll see how many people show up. But this is very exciting for James and I. We have been working on this for a while. We did a beta group, and now we're basically launching it to the world. And there's Jimmy Barber. James is gonna sing for us today too. You know he's not. Wait, Mike, you're muted, James.
I was about to sing. Sing once again with me.
Can you
a strange duet.
Music of the night for us?
Nighttime sharpens, heightens the sensation. Darkness stirs.
Yeah, that's
imagine like as a lounge singer.
As a lounge
Darkness
singer. Hey.
stirs and wakes imagination. How you doing? Silently, the sensing. I should do a whole parody like that.
You're not well. You are not well. All right, look at all these wonderful people that I haven't seen in forever joining us. Jimmy Owens in the house.
How you doing, big man?
Good. Hey, good. What school are you looking in Frisco?
It's the Frisco ISD over there by the Auditorium.
Oh, yeah. Okay, they have 13 high schools.
Correct.
Yeah, crazy.
And they almost all work out at that pool.
Oh, that's great. Awesome.
So they offered me a job as the head, like assistant manager, head of the lifeguards, and I turned that one down because there's a coaching job that's opening up in August.
That's great. Well, we hope
that's what I'm waiting for.
Thank you. Join the Frisco.
I really enjoyed it out there.
It's so great. We love it. Sandra Ainsworth in the house. Haven't seen you in 84 years. You're muted. I can't hear you. Sandra, you're muted. There you go.
I said I think it's 88, but I'm here now.
How are you feeling?
Yeah. Feeling better every day.
Very awesome. Well, continued prayers, my dear.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sandra D, I owe you a phone call. I know I got your message. I've been putting it together. I actually did talk to that guy, Rock Your Stage guy. I think I did.
Yeah, you met him. You met him.
No. I thought I talked to him after, but then again, I could have dreamt that because that's what happens when you're 61.
You might have. I know he said he met you briefly.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, the branding, the rock your life and rock the stage stuff was pretty cool, and so I thought he could definitely deliver some great information. So I don't like to do the online production part. That's above and beyond anything that interests me.
Right.
So he's a great partner for me because I'm like, yes, you do it. Thank you.
Take it over. Sandra D, have you been on any soap operas lately?
No, but I almost did a Frasier.
Did you really? The new Frasier?
Yeah, it's rebooting in case anybody's a Frasier fan.
I did see that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sandra is a soap star from the 1930s, and she looks amazing. But you look amazing for 80.
You do know that somebody that was very drunk. I was speaking in Vegas. I think it was Vegas. And somebody came up to me going, "Are you Sandra D?" And I'm like, "Yes." And he goes, "Oh my God, you look amazing." And he was thinking that I was the actress from the 60s. Oh. And he was so drunk. I just kind of went along with it. I thought it was funny. And then he walks away till he comes back with 3 friends.
Oh God. Look at me, I'm Sandra D.
Yep,
did I share that Antonio Banderas story with you guys once?
No.
What? No.
Similar story. So I was sitting at Nickelodeon for some voiceover for some animated series, and my hair was as long as it is now. But when you walked into Nickelodeon at the time, the reception, when you sat at the sofa, it faced the front door, so your back was to reception. And this woman came running up, and this is years ago, right? And Antonio Banderas had long hair at the time. And this woman comes running up, and she looks at me. She goes, "You're not Antonio Banderas." And then she turns to the entire office and goes, "He's not Antonio Banderas."
Wait,
Okay, sounds good, but I'm well-funded at this point.
I only partnered with you because you were Antonio Banderas, I thought.
Okay, then I talk like this.
Okay, good.
Okay, Puss in Boots.
We love that movie. All right, people are pouring in now. Pouring in. Oh my God, so many. C. Pat O'Brien? Is that C. Pat? I just muted you because you were on the phone. So you have to unmute yourself if you want to say hi. C. Pat and I go way back in the Santa Clarita days, back in California. How you doing, buddy?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Whenever I see your shining face, I have to smile myself because I love you. See, this is what happens. I sing now because of James Barber. I get singing lessons.
Wait a minute. You do?
No, I don't. All right. There's
1401.
Yeah.
10-9.
Okay. Hey, if you're going to get on the phone, just mute yourself before you get on the phone. We are open to questions the entire time. We're going to be about between 1 and 8 hours, depending on how long I decide that I just want to keep rambling. So between 1 hour and 8 hours, this webinar will be, but you can get off anytime you want. Okay, they're pouring in now. It's so funny.
Hey, if you haven't heard the band Threads, you need to check them out. They're a hot band. They're awesome.
Way to go, Randy. Way to promote my kids' band on a webinar. I like it. Yeah, if you're in LA, go see Threads at the Whiskey A Go-Go, April 19th. I hope you like heavy metal music and it's really loud. Bring earplugs. But we can't go because we're doing this seminar. My RockStar Speaker Summit, April 20 to 22 in Dallas. So I can't go to my son's show. All right, we're going to start. We're going to start. I'm going to share my screen and but if you could all mute yourself now, just mute yourself. And if you have a question, just either raise your hand with that little I don't even know how to do that thing with the raise your hand thing, that yellow hand that sticks up, or you could just unmute yourself and just interrupt us, which is totally fine. But if you could start with a muted thing, so just if you go on a phone call, then you could just take that. Lawana Parker, now you're interesting because you're in here twice. There's two Lawana Parkers. One's a doctor and one isn't. Kind of interesting. But we love you, Lawana. I haven't seen her in a while either. Mandy Lender. My gosh.
I just want you to know that I'm twice as good as you thought I was.
You are, aren't you? Good to see you. Mandy Lender, I haven't seen. Oh my God, he used to come to all my seminars and then I guess he doesn't like me anymore because I don't see him anymore. Mandy. That's okay, you can hide. All right, we'd prefer if you get on screen. You do not have to, but we love seeing faces instead of just words. You know, you're all we're talking about speaking here, getting out there, getting your story out to the public. Might as well start now, getting your face. There's Scott Schneider. How could you want to hide with that beautiful face? Come on.
Oh, I was just a little late in getting set up here.
And Danny Brassel, oh my gosh, I haven't seen Danny in 450 years. Oh, my old friends. Frank Stichter, oh my God, I haven't seen your face in a while. It's good to see everybody. Okay, so now I see what's happening. Everyone's coming back because James is with me. But when it's me alone, you don't want to come, you never see me, but James is here. Screw you all. Screw you, man. I'm kidding.
Well, there's the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
That's right, exactly. But that's okay. I'm okay with that.
We love you, Craig.
No, we love you too. I love myself. For the first time ever, I actually can say that I love myself. Okay.
Craig, it's a matter of time. This is now 11 o'clock, which is so much friendlier than 8 o'clock.
No, you're very, very right. Or just move to the East Coast.
Well, I tried that. I did that for 16 years.
That's right. You're an Arizona girl now. You love
I am.
Yeah. We love Arizona too. All right, we're gonna start because I know you guys have things to do today, people to see, places to go, and all that stuff. All right, I'm gonna share my screen. All right, someone tell me, well, James, can you see this? Is this working?
Yes, I can.
There's a PowerPoint up there.
Well, there's
So
a
this
slide
is
up there.
James and I started this thing called the RockStar Power Program. My brand was RockStar Marketing, Rock Your Life, and he had Star Power. He teaches people how to be stars in their industry. So we thought, you know, this is a pretty good synergy here. So we figured we'd partner together. He has some skills. I have some skills. We merge them together, and that's what this RockStar Power Program is. So if you can mute yourself, if you're on the phone or talking, that would be great. If you could mute yourself, that would be so great. James, I made you a co-host. And if
Good.
you just look at someone while I'm doing this PowerPoint, even though you're doing it with me, but if you could just look at people and just mute them if you see them, that would be.
Craig Duswalt, mute. Oh,
No, not me. Not
oh
me.
sorry.
Yeah.
I'm still learning.
People like muting me. My wife is, she presses the mute button every day in my house. Shut up, Craig. Shut up, Craig. All right.
That was easy.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
So this is our Rockstar Power Program webinar, how to craft your 7-minute story. I'm going to just start with this. I do this sometimes in my speaker webinars. These are the 8 musts. If you want to write notes, you can, but you're also going to get the recording of this as well if you don't want to write notes. But they're really fast. If you want to just take some notes, just have a pen and paper ready because I talk fast. But these are just a quick 8 musts if you want to be a successful speaker. The 8 musts. Say that 10 times fast. 1, you must, oh geez Louise, you must know your topic. So there are people out there that actually speak on topics they know nothing about because they hear that I can make a lot of money doing that. Don't do that. You must know your topic inside out. That is why I can do 5-day seminars talking for 5 days about a specific topic because I know this topic inside and out. Marketing. I've been doing it forever. And I tell stories about Air Supply and Guns N' Roses because I toured with Air Supply and Guns N' Roses, as opposed to people that tell Rockstar stories and they weren't even there. It's kind of interesting. You must know your topic. Number 2, you must have a passion for your topic. I love my topic. I love music. I love speaking, and I wanted to be a speaker, so I figured I'd use my brand Rockstar because I toured with all these bands and I love music. Might as well incorporate that into my speaking. You must have a passion for your topic as well. 3, you must, was that? Oh no, I just heard somebody, so someone.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's hard. I don't.
No, I know.
I'm trying to find everybody. Why don't we do this, Craig? Can we just mute in general?
Yeah, can you mute
That way,
all?
I believe so.
I think there's a way to mute all. And then if anyone wants to come, I forget how to do it, but
Yeah, I'll check the
Okay.
I'll handle it. Don't worry. You're good.
I know. Oh shoot. Oh God, hold on. How do you go back? Oh, there we go. Okay, you
Hold
must
on.
speak from the heart about your topic. In other words, like, yes, passion, but you just have to feel it. You have to speak from the heart about your topic. You must not memorize anything about your topic. I'm a big believer, do not write out a script, although I will dispel that theory in a minute, what James and I are doing together. But you must not memorize anything about your topic. Speakers that go up there that have a script when they're doing their 30-minute talk or 45-minute talk or 1-hour talk, oh my gosh, and especially if they're sharing a story about themselves or a story that is interesting, you cannot have a script. You should know it inside and out, but if you're reading something from a podium, oh my gosh, kill me now. Please don't do that. You must share your weaknesses. I am the king of sharing my weaknesses on stage, and I have no problem doing that. In fact, people say I do it too much. I shared all my weaknesses because I'm like this open book, but it works. People, they're like, well, if that idiot me can do it, see, I just did it again. If that guy can do it, well, then I can do it as well. So share your weaknesses. You must call out the elephant in the room. If you don't look like what you are talking about, and that could be, okay, so say you're sharing not a weight loss, but a workout program, and you are so out of shape and you can barely walk across the stage, but you have this great workout program, pull out the elephant in the room and tell them why you can barely walk across the stage if you have a workout program. You must call out the elephant in the room. If you have a disability, you should talk about your disability first, front and center. If you have a tragic story, talk about that. Call out the elephant in the room in your talks. You must share real life experiences. This is why I believe that I'm a good speaker. I have great real life experiences, and I've just learned how to talk about those in my talk. A lot of people say, well, I never toured with Guns N' Roses and Air Supply, so I don't have great real life experiences. You do. Trust me, you do. Like, I have to use my wife, her upbringing, because I had a pretty charmed life and she did not growing up. So I use her stories when I want to talk about, overcoming adversity. I have to use my wife's because, oh my gosh, she's overcome adversity. Your offline persona must match your online persona. James and I have met so many speakers, and I'm sure many of you have as well. Online, on stage, they're amazing. Oh my gosh, I feel their love. Oh my God, I just want to meet them. And then you meet them and you're like, oh my gosh, no. I know a lot of those people, and I pray that I don't come off that way. Many people say I don't, but I just hope that I don't, because I am the same on stage as I am off stage as well. So those are some 8 musts, and that's what James and I do this in a lot of my seminars, but now we're going to get into the meat of the webinar. But I just wanted to share some authentic things that you needed to be a speaker. So James and I met because I had this idea of doing a one-man show. One of my bucket list things is to appear on or off Broadway in a one-man show. I'm an actor by trade from many, many years ago. I've acted in numerous plays. I've done some TV, and I've won some awards, like Best Actor awards in some theaters in California. So I have that background. So I always said to myself, I have this speaker thing that I do, and I wanted to turn it into a one-man show. Just like a 75-minute, it was going to start off as like a comedy routine, but then that scares the bejesus out of me, because I definitely don't want to tell everyone this is a comedy show just in case it's not funny. You don't want to do that. So I just decided to do a one-man show, and it's called Almost Famous. James and I met about a year ago, and he was directing Ted McGrath, who's another speaker, in a one-man show. I think it's called Good Enough, right, James?
Correct. Good
Enough. So I asked James, can he help me with my one-man show? And that's how this thing started. So here's the thing about connections as well. I'm going to just share this quick story. My wife and I invested a lot of money in a new musical called The Honeymooners, the musical. Does anyone remember the show, The Honeymooners? Right? The Honeymooners, very, very famous show with Jackie Gleason. It was Ralph Cramden and Alice Cramden. So The Honeymooners, the musical, and we invested a lot of money because my friend wrote the show. My friend won an Emmy Award. Is that the TV one? Yeah, Emmy Award for Entourage. He was the showrunner for Entourage, and he was one of the head writers for that show. He wrote The Honeymooners, the musical. So I invested a lot of money. To make a very long story short, it didn't go anywhere. Even though we had Michael McGraw, one of the top Broadway actors, Hank Azaria was playing Ed Norton, and we had from Wicked, we had 2 of the women from Wicked, and it was just an amazing casting crew. And we premiered it at the Paper Mill Playhouse in New Jersey, and it got rave reviews. Everything is going great. But my friend decided that he didn't want to take notes, even though he's a TV writer, did not want to take notes from the producers that are used to doing Broadway shows. And once again, to make a very long story short, they went away. So Jeffrey Finn, a very major Broadway producer, he's like one of the top 5 producers on Broadway, was the producer. And he calls me up one day and he says, Craig, I know you've probably heard a lot of stories about why this didn't go. I just want to share my version of the story. And he was amazing. We literally talked for like 2 to 3 hours on the phone because I basically lost my investment and it had nothing to do with him. He was amazing. But he did say to me after I talked, look, if there's anything that I can help you with, I feel like, you're an actor, all that stuff. And I said, well, I'm writing this one-man show. If there's any way that you can help me get it like off Broadway or on Broadway. And he says, send it to me. I'd love to look at it. So I haven't done that yet, but I'm working with James putting it. So I'm debuting this workshop of my one-man show on April 20th at my RockStar Speaker Summit. So the reason why I bring all this up is because I have a bunch of stories that I want to share, and I turn it into a one-man show. And that's where I went to James and I said, I heard you did this with Ted McGrath. Can you help me? And he has been unbelievable helping me. We're finalizing everything right now. I'm still writing the script. He hasn't even seen it yet. So it's going to be a workshop that we're going to do. But James, do you want to talk a little bit about the Ted McGrath one-man show and what we...
Yeah, well, let me talk about the importance of why we're doing it in this way. And this will lead into what we're talking about today. There are so many amazing people out there that teach speaking and message. And what I realized is that in working with the people that I've been working with and how I got into this, I've started multiple Broadway shows and I ended up speaking on a lot of stages, like the first 10X GrowthCon, the second 10X GrowthCon, ClickFunnels. And I didn't sell anything. Like I didn't have a product, I was just there to speak, uplift, and entertain, because I would pair my musical ability, my singing, with speaking motivation. But again, I wasn't pitching anything. What happened, however, is that when I came off the stage, I had throngs of people rushing to me saying, wow, they were acknowledging me, saying that was great. But moreover, they were like, I need to have some acumen on stage presence. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with, how I stand, where I talk? I'm afraid of speaking. And these are high-level people. And I never even thought about translating my skill into the world of entrepreneurs and business. That was the gestation. So what happened was that I ended up meeting Ted McGrath, who's a very successful marketer. And he said, I have this one person show and would I help him with it? So I saw the validity of what he was doing, specifically because this is what he said. He said the first time he took his one-man show, which is before I met him, he was talking to different people about speaking from their stage, right? And the goal was he wanted to get on people's stages. He wanted to pitch a product, but the market's saturated. And even though that he had been doing, his entrepreneurial business for a while, it was still saturated. How many times have you guys, if you want to get on a stage or talk to somebody or talk about your product, you're getting on a stage, you're like, well, what are you going to talk about? Well, I'm going to talk about marketing. I got somebody. I'm going to talk about sales. I've got somebody. Well, what happened was basically he was saying, I can do this. No, I have somebody. I can do this. No, I have somebody. No, I do this. I have somebody. Well, I have a one-man show. The person's like, you what? You have a one-man show on my life story. I died of a drug overdose and overcame adversity. And they're like, wait a minute. Wait, what? And they said, that I'm interested in. And so he was able to take this unique thing that he had and translate it into him getting on stages. And what happened was very similar to what happened to me, was that once he did this presentation, and sometimes he would do the whole thing and sometimes he would just do excerpts of it. He wouldn't sell anything, but the entire room would flock to him afterwards. It set him apart from everybody else who was speaking. People would have great stories. They would talk about overcoming adversity. This was very, very different because it was a curated message. And this is where I started coming into the ability to help people with this. So what is interesting about the approach that Craig and I take is that, again, when you're learning message and speaking, and look, this goes for people in any walk of life, whether you're a business person, you're in sales, whether you're a teacher, an accountant, you still have to be able to effectively communicate with the people that are your client base, are your family, your spouse, your children. How are you effectively communicating? So normally when someone is speaking, and I'm giving a little secret away here on the thing that we do in our big program, they're talking about it from what effect, what are you going to do? What's your story? What's your beginning? What's your middle? What's your ba-da-da-da-da? How are you going to sell? But what we don't take into account is the opposite viewpoint, and that's the audience's viewpoint, right? So being on stage, I've been on stage for over 40 years in front of, literally over 200 million people live. And being on the stage with a Broadway show 8 times a week, 6 days a week, year in, year out, day in, day out, there's an acumen that's built. But moreover, we as performers, as stage performers, have to deliver a product to the audience that the audience likes. Otherwise, they're not going to buy a ticket or they're going to leave. So when we started building this, we're building it not only from the speaker standpoint, but also from the audience standpoint, which is something that nobody really does. So we're approaching it in that direction, which is super unique and super cool and has really, really great results. So the whole one-man show thing, everybody has a story. We were going through our first part of our program with somebody, people like, I don't have anything interesting to talk about. And so I would start to go, well, what's that behind you? And there was a sword behind one of our attendees. And he's like, oh, here's the story about the sword. And I'm like, do you really, that's your story? It was this amazing story. So everybody has a story. Everybody has a message. It's just, how do you approach it and how do you translate it so that it actually has the impact that you want? So there's my long answer to your short question.
That's a good answer. So I am now doing my one-man show, like I said, and I have a bunch of stories that I want to put together. The problem I had was this, the through line. Now, James, is it spelt like that or is it THRU line? I wonder.
THRU is abbreviated, so it's actually both. Okay. I mean, this is the correct spelling.
So the through line is, okay, so if I have, let's just say I have 12 stories that I want to do on one-man show, 12 different stories. I need a through line that connects the theme of all these stories. And that's the thing that I had trouble with. And that's the thing that we talk about in the when we do our program, our RockStar Power program. What is your through line? So for example, if you have a 7-minute story, we focus on 7-minute stories. And if you're doing a 30-minute talk in front of a group of people or an hour or whatever it is, and where do you put that 7-minute story? And if you want to have 2 stories or 3 stories in your talk, you need a through line that makes sense, that brings home why you do what you do or your products that you're selling. You need some sort of theme to go along the whole time, so people aren't like, well, that's just a random story out of nowhere. And that's what James is really helping me with, taking these 12 different stories through an arc that we'll talk about later to where there's a beginning, middle, and end, even though there's a bunch of stories that connect them. So that's something that we will help people with too, is their through line. And that is something that you need to think about when you're coming up with stories.
Yeah, this is the through line is a vital thing. So make sure you write that down, guys. Without that through line, there is no story. It is I'm starting here, I'm going here, and I'm ending here, and it's all connected, right? The through line, hence the word through. It's going through your story, through your play, through your talk, through your speech, through your written novel, through your manuscript, through your film, whatever you're doing. It has to have that connective tissue so that you're always coming back to the core value of what you're talking about. Hope that makes sense.
And yeah, and what I used to do when I did my talks is I would just have a random story about, touring with Guns N' Roses. and it was funny, ha ha ha, but it didn't move my program along in a nice way. I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but anyway,
Flow. Yeah.
flow, nice flow, correct. Now it will
My
all
hair.
make sense. All right, stand out from other speakers. Once again, James talked about that. Everyone else is going to go up on stage. They're going to share 1, 2, or 3 ideas, 3 things that you can do, whatever their topic is. And at the end, they're going to pitch their product that they're selling from the stage or their service that they're selling from the stage.
Yeah.
And that's what every speaker does. And
yeah, and they're going to stack. They're going to have their PowerPoint. They're going to push their button. They're going to stack their offer in a funnel. They're going to go, it's this, it's this, it's this. Here's the value, but this is what you're getting it for, right? And I'm not saying everybody does that, but a lot of people do that, right? The perfect webinar, the perfect funnel, the perfect speech. I don't even use slides. I don't even use a deck when I'm on stage because the story is engaging enough, or I hope it's engaging enough that anything else that I'm putting out there most of the time I don't use deck, is if I put something else there, it's going to distract from what I'm doing. So this kind of thought pattern, this kind of product in terms of your speech, in terms of structuring it, you're going to be like, I don't want to say above, but you're going to be different. You're going to be doing what other people are not. Does that make sense?
It makes sure sense.
Makes sure sense.
People hate selling from the stage. In a 30-minute talk, 45-minute talk, 1-hour talk, they do 80 to 85 to 90% of their talk. And that's great. And then what happens is they transition into some other person to sell, to make their offer, because they are so, they're like, is it okay now if I make an offer to you? Most speakers are horrible sellers from the stage. And just because they, like I said, turn into a different person and they think that they have to do something different. When you are doing the RockStar Power version of this, the transition is part of the whole 30-minute talk. Once again, the through line. They're not even going to know that you hit the point where you're selling something if you do it correctly. Like he said, there's Ted McGrath has gone out numerous times, and I have done this as well to corporations where I don't sell, but I do. Is you don't even have to sell anything because your talk is doing the selling. So like this one-man show, like he said, or expert excerpts from the one-man show will get you people coming to the back of the room, and then you can make your offer at the back of the room by showing them a form and then just sharing what the offer is, or just selling a book or whatever. There is
I'll share this story with you too, guys.
Yeah.
In this exact same thing. So when I spoke at the first ClickFunnels event I spoke at which I spoke, Garrett White was speaking, and I hadn't met Garrett. I didn't know who he was, but everybody was up there. Now at on Russell's stages, nobody pitches, right? It's all about ClickFunnels, but there were a lot of speakers. So we're sitting in the audience, the lights go dark, just boom, and you hear music, rumbling of music. And I'm going, what is this? Instantly caught my attention. Instantly caught 2,500 people, 3,000 people in this auditorium. The whole place is rumbling with this music. The next thing you know, a spotlight hits a chair that's sitting downstage. And this guy comes on, and he's wearing black. He's wearing a black hoodie. And ironically enough, he has a plastic Phantom of the Opera mask, right? And I'm going, what? He comes on, there's a voiceover. It's a voiceover of somebody leaving a message on his answering machine, and it's a woman, and the woman is screaming at him, if you don't stand up, if you don't do the right thing, if you don't be the right husband, blah, 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 blah. And everybody was shocked. And then you hear, boop. The lights come on. He has a cell phone in his hand. He throws the cell phone down, throws his hood off, rips the mask off, and goes into his speech. And that was Garrett White. And he's talking about how this one point in his life changed the message that he got on his answering machine. I believe it was from his wife at the time.
Oh, wow.
That he needed to step up. That entire piece stood out beyond anyone else's speech the entire weekend. And Tony Robbins was there as well. Tony did a whole, like, I mean, Tony's, you know, on a different level in terms of what he was presenting.
Yeah.
But that's what stuck out to me because he was unique, right? Creating a story. So I just wanted to
Yeah.
say that.
And my whole thing is when I start, because I'm nervous before I go on stage, and
Sure.
because I just want to do well. So the first thing I do, and many of you have been to my seminars, I throw out Rock Your Life t-shirts to the audience, and then I play Name That Tune, which gets everybody in a totally different mode of what they were seeing from all the other speakers and what they're about to see from me. They know that this is probably going to be a little different than what we've seen before. And that's what James and I will talk about when you're crafting your story and incorporating it into a 30-minute speech. So let's get to that.
Yep.
Let's get to that. So unleash the power of your story. Here are 5 things to help you unleash the power of your story. First one, to engage the audience. So I just see we're repeating ourselves already, because I was going to say what I do to engage the audience right away is throw my t-shirts out and play Name That Tune. So law of reciprocity. I literally, if I'm speaking to 400 people, I throw out 250 t-shirts. So almost everyone is getting a t-shirt. The law of reciprocity is they're gonna, I just gave them a free gift. The least they can do for me is listen to my presentation intently, because I just gave most of the people a free gift. Playing Name That Tune, where I play like 6 seconds of a song and they just yell out the song. I look out in the audience and everybody is smiling because I'm playing songs that remind us of our first date, our first kiss, our first divorce, whatever made us happy. Whatever that is, I see the smiles on everybody's face in the audience. I can do no wrong for the rest of my talk from my first 5 to 7 minutes on stage. Engage the audience. Like he just said, when he was at ClickFunnels, that guy engaged the audience. White, what's his first name again?
Garrett White.
And I actually watch him. He's amazing. Garrett White. So engage the audience. James, anything for engage the audience?
No, that's it. We talked about it early on, right? We're looking at this from an audience perspective versus a speaker perspective. It is a two-way street. That's communication. You'll also learn that in our program, that communication is a two-way street. It's not just you saying something to somebody. It's you saying something to somebody or a group or a terminal, that individual or group receiving it, but moreover, understanding what you're saying and then acknowledging it back. That's communication, right? So you need to have that rapport with the audience in order to actually effectively communicate.
Jeez. Next one is facilitate understanding. That's funny you just said that.
There we go.
What did you just say? Say it again.
Facilitate understanding. You have to be able to relate whatever you're saying to your audience so that they receive it and understand it, duplicate what you're saying. Because otherwise you could say, hey, listen, do you see the red car? And the guy's like, yellow balloon. No, you've communicated to them, but he's not receiving your communication. No, the red car, yellow balloon. No, the red car with the wheels. Oh, the red car with the wheels. I see it. Good. Thank you. Right. So sometimes that happens in our communication. How many times in our relationships with our spouses or our kids or our friends, we're like, hey, this is what it is. And the other person doesn't duplicate or understand. Of course, it's always their fault, but it's not. It's ours. What responsibility can you take for that?
So this is James's area of expertise. This is what he teaches in Star Power, is messaging and communication. And that's why it's so good as a speaker or as a presenter or as someone that has a sales meeting or just doing a presentation or one-on-one. You need to know how to do these things. Persuasion. Now we're back to the selling thing again, or not even just selling, but just persuading them to believe what you are talking about on stage, the power of persuasion. There's so many books on this that Robert Cialdini, The Influence is another great book as well. The power of persuasion is huge if you're, and very relatable if you're telling a story. Anything else on persuasion?
For me, persuasion is all about being truthful and engaging your audience. If your audience trusts you, then they're going to be with you. And you have to be truthful. You have to have integrity when you're doing these things. So if I'm on a stage and I'm performing, the performance has to be, look, you guys have seen it. have you seen performances or speakers or movies where you're kind of like, man, I don't believe that. And it's not necessarily the fact that they're not good people. They're just not invested in or making clear what it is that they're trying to relate to you. But when you're invested in that film and you're leaning forward and you can't wait, and you know it's a horror film and you know the guy is hidden behind the door and you're expecting it, but the door opens and you jump anyway, you're invested into your product, into what you're watching, into what you're doing. And when you do that, when you're transparent and you're building that kind of story for your audience, it, to me, persuasion sort of means like you have to get them to do something versus they're already agreeing. They're with you the whole way. So that's what persuasion is to me. They're in agreement with you.
Sorry, my gardeners are outside. I'm trying to tell my wife to tell them to go away because it's so loud. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay, good. Phew. It's loud to me. All right.
Differentiation.
Oh my God. Differentiation. I think I spelled it wrong.
Yes,
I forgot an I. Sorry.
Differentiation.
This is the first mistake I've ever made in my life. What happened? Anyway, this is where you stand out from everybody else. And we talked about this before. Once again, we've already talked about a lot of these things already.
Yeah.
But this is where separates you from every other person, having a great story, having a through line that flows, everything that flows. And once again, you don't have to sell. And then increase ROI, return on investment. If you learn how to do these things with a story, how to put the story together, you will make more money because look, I'm a very good storyteller. I was going to say I'm a master storyteller, but I hate saying that. I'm a very good storyteller. And I can honestly speak on stages because I've done this before where you're not allowed to sell on stage. And then people come to the back of the room and then I just tell them to go to my website to sign up for my next event. And they do that from the back of the room. And I didn't even sell anything from the stage. I'm telling you, if you can master your story and make and put it together into a solid 35, 45, 30, 45 or 1 hour talk, I'm telling you, no matter what business you're in, doesn't matter if you're a speaker. Here's the other thing about increase ROI. You don't even have to be a speaker to speak on stages. You need to add speaking to your arsenal, even if you're not a speaker and even if you don't sell products from the stage like the traditional person does, like a coaching program or DVDs or something like that. Say you own a jewelry store and you speak on stages about diamonds and why different colored diamonds are important to know about. Like a yellow diamond can be more expensive than a white diamond. I never knew that. But if you teach that from the stage, and if you add a book to that and you wrote the book on it, trust me, your ROI will go through the roof. And that's what we're trying to teach in this crafting a story thing is you need the story and the through line and the whole product of you on stage to make more money. It's all about money because we all have bills to pay. Anything else on that, James?
I agree with that. I mean, I think one of the things that we sometimes are met with that we are met with is that you cannot sell from a stage. Or like you can speak, but you can't sell from a stage.
Right.
Well, you can always give away a free gift, or you can say, hey, you know what? This is a great story. If you want, like let's say you have a photograph and you have it up there as a picture behind you. You can download this free gift or go to the back of the room and you're giving them something away for free. The reason, again, they're going to invest in you, even if it's for a free gift. And why is a free gift important? Because then you're getting their name and their email address and their phone number, is because they're trusting in you. Increased ROI comes with customers trusting you. I wrote this in my book about the fact that you are your brand. No matter what you are your brand. And I talked about going, my lease was up on my wife's car a number of years ago. We knew what we wanted. I went to a dealership, made the deal very, very quickly, and we're sitting with a finance guy. The finance guy was very cavalier because all he needed to do was go, you want an extra warranty? You want this? Blah, 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 blah. He's just signing off. And I had was getting in communication with him. And one of the things that I do is always try to find something that we may have in common, just to start a conversation. And so I mentioned somebody that I knew in the car industry, and the guy just immediately ripped that person apart, ripped him apart. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, you know, this is my viewpoint and blah, 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 blah. But he kept going at it, and he was not a nice guy. So here's why this is important to increased ROI. I stopped the deal at that moment. I just stopped and I walked out because I didn't want to continue dealing with that person. I got a phone call from the manager of the dealership. Hey, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. I said, listen, the deal was done. I was just trying to have conversation, and it didn't go anywhere. It was not a good situation for me, which, by the way, you guys have absolute permission to walk out of any deal that you have. It is your life, right? The reason I'm saying this, I did go back. I got a deal on the vehicle. It just was a waste of time. But am I going to go back to that finance guy? Absolutely not. If he was nice and if he was able to communicate and engage, I would have sent them people all day. He is the brand. Even though he was selling this kind of car, he thought that was the brand. He's the brand. He's the through line. He's the through to the car. So this is why communication and speaking is really super important to your bottom line, even if you're not a professional speaker, even if you're a teacher or an accountant. How are you relating to your students? How are you relating to your clients? That's what I wanted to say about
Yeah,
ROI.
you know how many people have, like, you know, when I'm, okay, speaking about buying a car, I remember buying a car, and the salesman, the car salesman, while you're buying a car, they share stories. They share stories all the time. And if you have a good story, a good 7-minute story, even if you're a car salesman, oh my gosh, that will help sell a car. Yeah, because I've had a couple of do that. Anyway, enough about that.
Yeah.
All right. So here's, like, this is what we teach in our How to Craft we have a digital program, but this is what we teach. So this is the steps to craft a 7-minute story. And James is really going to focus on this area because this is his wheelhouse. First, we have a workbook all the time that we give, but you don't have the workbook now. Oh my God, they're getting loud now. Okay.
Can't hear them.
Can you hear them?
Nope.
Oh, okay, good. Wow. All right. So here is the 7 steps or 6 steps for how to craft a 7-minute story. So the first one is an introduction. Well, this is our course. So this is our course, which we'll talk about at the same time. But this
let me interject real quick.
Yeah.
You saw the thing about the workbook, right?
Yeah.
So the thing about the workbook, we created the workbook because as you're going through, you know, oftentimes you maybe do a digital course or any course. When we first did this, we did it with live participants. A couple of them are on here right now. And the reason I have a workbook on the stuff that I do is because it's visual instruction, right? And it's just, it's simple. You have this thing that you're learning, now go and physically put it down on paper so you can actually see it, right? So we have a workbook, and we also have a check sheet that allows you to go, okay, look, here's the first thing, I've done that, I've done this, and you're able to follow your progress in there for yourself, and you can actually see it on paper. So that's what this module is that Craig is showing you. It's an introduction and talking about the materials that are involved in doing this.
Yes, and let me share one thing. We have a RockStar Power program that we are going to offer you to sign up with at the end of this.
Right.
While we're going through teaching you how to craft your 7-minute story, which we're going to do right now, this is also what you get in our digital program. But we're going to share it right now. But if you want to take it to the next level, you're going to have an opportunity to sign up for our digital program. But the slides that you're going to see now are in the 7-minute program, but we're going to touch on them right now because we said we're going to teach you how to structure and craft your 7-minute story. So that's what we're
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you were to get the digital course that we're going to offer, you get a workbook with it and a course check sheet, and it's an introduction to the whole program. But here are the modules for you to craft your 7-minute story. We're going to touch on them for you, and this will be the digital program that you would have an opportunity to invest in if you want. So module 1 is the story and the star, the power of a story with you as a star. James.
Yeah. So look, when you're crafting your story, guys, the way we're approaching it as if you were making a film or writing a book. So in any great film, which you have seen, you may have a favorite film. Each of you may have different genres of films that you like. You're like, oh my gosh, I love The Shawshank Redemption. I love Charlotte's Web. I love, The Notebook, my mother's favorite movie. And when you craft your story, we're crafting it as if you are creating a film. And you'll see when I go through the next modules with you, why that's important. So you have to think of you as the star of your story. You are the star of your film. And sometimes that's tough for people. Like, I'm introverted. I know that I want to get out there. I know I have a message. That's what we're going to use. Whatever it is that you have, whatever your fears are, whatever your strengths and weaknesses are, you're going to use all of them, right? You're going to identify each one of those things, because even if it's a weakness, it's a strength. Because what you go through and what you have as part of your foundation is who you are as an individual. It's why you make choices. It's how you make choices. It's how you interact with other people. So becoming the star of your own story is vital. And telling the story from your perspective and the journey that you're going on, which we're going to go through in a second, is really, really, really important, right? So that's the first part of this, is thinking of yourself as the star of your own story. Or your message is the star and you are relating it, like the narrator in The Wonder Years. Does this make sense?
Yep.
Okay, good. And just so you know, like our digital program is hours and hours of content. So anyway, go ahead,
Yeah.
Craig.
So the next one is the writer and the poet, how to set yourself up to create an impactful story with a powerful message.
Right. So what you're going to be doing here is, what's the difference between a writer and the poet? Well, a writer, you can be a journalist. You're just popping out stories, right? Headlines that are catchy. Somebody once said to me, what is the purpose of newspapers and magazines? Well, to sell newspapers and magazines. So the headline would be, millions die. And you're like, what? And you grab the newspaper and you look at it, it says, since the dawn of man, millions of people have died from natural causes. Well, of course, the headline caught you. The difference between that and a poet is somebody who is crafting the words for a specific aesthetic effect. Sort of the same way. I mean, I guess you could call a journalist a poet in many ways, because they're trying to get a message across. But usually with poetry or with any kind of written novel or script, there's a reason behind why they're writing it. There's a message that they're trying to share with you. And that is what we're going to deal with in Module 2. So you're going to be defining different stories in your life. Things like, I came from a divorced marriage. I was raised by a single mom. I was, bullied as a kid. I went through some XYZ, right? Or, I didn't have a purpose until I ended up graduating high school, and then I went into the military and I went onto this journey. Every single person has a story. So what you need to do is you need to identify specific stories in your life, and do not filter yourself. Okay. I want you to make sure you're taking this down. Do not filter yourself, and identify specific points in your life that were obstacles and let's call them hero's journey, right? Overcoming something in your life. Because when you put those down on paper, and you can have 20 of them, you can have 30 of them, you're going to be like, holy crap. Wow, this is actually what I did in my life. Did those have impact on someone? Were you helped by someone? Were you met with something and you're like, I didn't think I was going to get through this. And then someone came into your life and say, hey, listen, I can help you. Or reverse. Did you meet somebody who said, hey, I don't think I can do that. And then you used your ability, your caring, your love to help that person. Did it affect multiple people? Did it just affect you? Did it something that you learned on your journey? What are those stories? And what did you learn about them? I went through this and this is what happened. I went through this and this is what happened. So when you're looking at a story, when you're looking at a film, again, and we're going to touch on this next, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. I love the movie The Shawshank Redemption. I think is an awesome film.
Favorite movie.
Right? Great, me too. One of my favorites. But any story, even the story of Camelot and King Arthur, a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you need to find a starting point, right? And this section here, where you're going to identify what your message is and your individual stories are, we're going to pick one of those, and that's going to be the start of your story. Now, here's the cool thing. If you have 20 of them, you have 20 stories. Okay, well, that's too many. All right, start with one. We create that. You create an arc, which you'll learn about in a second, the beginning, middle, and end, the overcoming adversity, the lesson in it. And then guess what? That 7-minute story can be expanded to 15, to 20, to 30, to 45, to an hour. It can. And then you're like, wow, I have that. Then you go on to message number 2. So you could technically have 10, 15 different presentations in the long run. What we're doing now is we're just listing all of your ideas, all of your stories, all of the effects that it's had on your life, the effects that you've had on other people, and then you're going to pick one to start with. So that's the writer.
And don't get intimidated by that you have to be a great writer. So many people go, well, then I'm out because I don't know how to write. No, all you're doing is, what I do is I talk into my iPhone and I just share a situation and a story. And then I just transcribe it, and then you can beef it up a little bit. Don't think that you have to sit there in front of a computer and just start writing. Talk your story when you realize the story. I write all my books that way. I'm writing my one-man play right now by talking it. I own Final Draft, which is a screenwriting program, and I can talk the script into the script program now. It is ridiculous how easy it is. So you don't have to be a great writer to do this. All right, next one is the arc, the beginning, how to pick and craft the beginning of your story.
Yeah. So this is fun, guys. So one of the things that you can think about too, as you're writing a story is, what's your favorite genre of film? What's your favorite genre of book? What appeals to you, right? So as Craig said, you have to be authentic. And if you're going to come and you want to be this super, maybe you love action movies, right? So you can approach your talk like that, as long as it is part of you. If you like action movies, make it about action. If you love dramas, make it about drama. Make your story fit with who you are, right? Because you're not going to, if you're like, I'm a pretty calm person, right? And there are a lot of people I know that get up on stage and they're all so fast and blah, 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 blah. Like Russell Brunson talks a mile a minute, right? I talk quickly, but I'm not that guy. So I'm not going to force myself to be in a genre that doesn't work for me. As an actor, I've had to fit in the characters that are not me, and I've been able to create that. But if you don't have to, why not? Why not go to your strengths? Okay, so I want you to think about that. We're going to get to this in a second, right? And then also think about who your favorite artists are. Who's your favorite actor? Who's your favorite singer, right? Because those descriptions will inform you on who you are and how you're doing this, okay? Now, I also want you to think about this. I want you to think about words that describe you as a person, which goes back to the genre. Are you a fast person? Are you a calm person? All of the different things that you would describe, adjectives to describe you and verbs to describe you, okay? Because they're going to inform how you're going to be putting your story down. And to go to what Craig was saying, you do not have to be an amazing writer. You don't even have to be a writer. The ability to just speak, you do it every day. You talk to your friends, you talk to your spouse, you talk to your dog or your cat. It's the exact same thing. The exact same thing. It really is. Okay, so the arc, the beginning. So this is what I want you to do. Remember, we talked about the beginning, middle, and end, right? So the arc, this is where I want you to go and choose a couple of the stories that you wrote down, the messages earlier, as possible openings. Okay, this is going to be the foundation of the through line of your overall talk. This makes sense? So once you have this, your top stories, you're going to go through, let's say you have 10 stories that you've chosen, right? Oh, I have this story in my life. I have this story, this story, this story. You're going to go back and choose the top 2 to 4 stories. And you're going to start paring them down, because this is going to be your through line. Let's say, for example, someone was raised by a single mom, I was raised by a single mom. We didn't have a lot of money. And my mom had to work 3 jobs. Well, what I learned from that was that, I didn't have any toys. I didn't have this. I learned resilience, right? Let's just say that's the story. So as you're starting your story, that's going to be the core value. And then as you go through, you're going to be tagging back to the story of your mom and the resilience that you've learned, okay? So the arc is your starting point. Now, here's a little hint. Here's a little hint, and I want you guys to think about this. Usually when you're crafting something, you know the ending of the story. You've already lived that experience, right? So you've lived the experience of being raised by a single mom and having resilience, and this is where you ended up, okay? You may think about it as getting ahead of yourself, but I want you to think about it this way. In truth, what we're doing is we're working backwards. So you're going to have your beginning. You know where your story is going to go because, oh, wow, I've survived that. I've now have this business, or I've, gotten to this point. There are still questions in my life, but this is where I've gotten. And this is what I want you to learn. If I can get through that resilience, if I can survive being raised with no money and, being raised with a lot of love or whatever it is, then you can too. And here's how I want to help you, right? So this is what I want you to think about this arc. So the beginning, the arc, the beginning, and the arc is like an arch, right? An arc of a story is finding that possible, powerful story that you're going to start your talk with. This makes sense? If anybody is confused, I want you to let me know. You can put it in the comments.
Confused.
Are you? Well, you're just confused in general.
Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good.
Seriously, pop down any comments you have, guys. All right, cool. We can skip to the next one. If we see questions, we can come back.
Yep. So now we're at the arc in the middle, how to choose the right moment and obstacle in your life and integrate, set you up for, and set you up for the hero's journey. And
integrate and set you up for, yeah. Right. Typo. That's probably my bad because I wrote that. Okay, the middle. This is really cool. Thank you, Maria says makes sense. All right. The middle of your story, the middle of your story shows your obstacle or low point. Oh, but I don't want to share my low point. I don't want to share my obstacle. There are some stories that may be too tough to tell. But there are some points in your life, everybody said obstacles. You don't have to tell that one. If it's too raw, if it's too much, don't share it. You have the full right to share and say what you want and not share and say what you want, right? It's like social media. Somebody trolls you on social media. It's like, oh my God, trolling on social media. Block, see ya. You're powerful, okay? So this is your hero moment in the story. This is the obstacle. I was raised by a single mom. We didn't have any money. And I never wanted to have that happen in my own life. So I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I made myself through college. And then I had student loans and I got a job. And then a recession hit and I was out of work. And I realized at that moment that I was facing the exact same thing that I was facing with my mom. I had no money in the bank. I was delinquent on my rent and I didn't know what to do. Obstacle, right? This is the obstacle. And what does it do? It ties back to the beginning of your story. Okay. So in the arc, in the middle, you're to list 2 to 4 low points in your life and note how they can tie back to the beginning of your story. And don't filter yourself, right? You don't have to use everything you write down. And by not filtering yourself, you will see, you'll be like, oh my gosh. And it could be some harsh stuff. Only you are going to see these. Makes sense? This is the stuff that you're going to be doing. Only you are going to know your stories. You're choosing what you're going to add and what you're going to take away and what you want to share. But it's going to open you up and give you this breadth of ideas. And I can guarantee you almost 100%, you're going to write something. You're like, oh my gosh, I remember this also happened and this happened and that happened. It's that free flow of ideas. Okay. So again, I'll just reiterate it. The middle of your story shows your obstacle or low point from which we build the hero moment in your story, the overcoming, right? The overcoming of, oh my gosh, I don't have any money. I don't have any rent. My car got repossessed. Now what? Now you overcome. Okay. So that's the middle. Does this make sense?
Yeah. And then the arc, the end, crafting
Yeah, the end.
your hero's journey to inspire and raise awareness of your audience.
Yeah. Thank you, TK. TK says the discussion on the middle was so helpful. TK went through our program.
Yeah.
Look, what's cool about this, guys, is you're making the movie of your own life, right? In 7 minutes. And you can make 50 of them. It's super, super cool and super fun. You are becoming the star and the writer and director and producer of your own film, of your own story, of your own play, of your own novel. You can turn this into a book, right? Even if you just list stories. Hey, these are stories that I went through in my life. I'm making a book out of them, right? So the end, the arc, the end, this is your hero moment. This is where we talked about in the beginning. You know where you're going to end. So you're building to that end. You're working reverse to get to where you're working reverse to the beginning to go back to the end. And you're going to keep doing that. So the end is your hero moment. It's the time where you show how you overcame the obstacles in the middle, right? These are the moments that inspire, that raise up awareness of your audience. Because what do you want to do? You want to inspire and move and motivate and raise your audience up to a new level. My goal as a performer is to, when the audience leaves the theater, to have them be so blown out and going, oh my gosh, so that they can forget. As a creative artist, they can forget about the crap that we're dealing with on a daily basis. That's my goal. And that's my goal even when I speak, is to inspire and raise them up, to say you can too. And I get so much back from the audience. The curtain calls for me after a big show are thank you for sitting there for 2.5 hours and watching us on stage, right? Because my college mentor said this: what audacity do you have to stand on a stage and ask someone to pay money to watch you perform? It's kind of egotistical if you think about it. What audacity do you as a speaker have? You're standing up on stage and you're telling the story, and now I'm going to sell you into my program. That changed my perspective big time. How can I serve the audience? How can I be there for them? They're there for me, to help me, not for me, but to help me, right? So these are the teaching moments, right? The hero moment, the teaching moments, the you too can achieve success moments. Does this make sense? So the arc, the beginning, you're taking that powerful story that is important to you, that you've gone through, and you're starting there, knowing where you're ended up, because where you're ended right now is present. We don't know what the future is going to hold, and that can even be part of your hero's journey. You can say, here's my beginning. Your middle is, oh my gosh, here's my obstacle. And your ending is, and here's my resolution. And I had this, I got this out of it, and so can you. And guess what? I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but I know what now is. And I know that if I stay on this path, it's going to be better than it was. So that's the arc, the end. Makes sense?
Amen, sister.
Cool.
Then module 6, the last piece is, all right, this is all great. And you've got this great story. Now, how do you get on stages? How do you market yourself? How do you brand yourself? Like a rock star, putting on your own seminars. So we have a whole module that we talk about this, like extensively. So I'll talk about that in a minute. Then we have an encore module, story to stage, learn to take your story to the next level, the stage, and incorporating your 7-minute story into a 30-minute talk. We have that whole thing. And then James, as part of this program, has added 5 bonus speaker training videos that he did a little while ago, and we just added those as bonuses. So let me just get to what we're doing. There's some on our website, which is, well, it's coming up. It's rockstarpowerprogram.com/story. Story is all lowercase. Well, you'll see that in a little bit. Maybe James, you can put that in the chat.
Yeah, I'm doing
But
it.
on that website, is our program. And we have testimonials from amazing people. Like James has spoken on Grant Cardone's stage. So that's a little testimonial for James. Tim Story, oh my gosh, he's a life coach to the stars. He's worked with Robert Downey Jr., Will Smith, Oprah Winfrey's like his best friend. We just had him at a Turn It Up event in Orlando, Florida. Amazing person. He gave James a great quote because he has spoken on stages with him as well. Les Brown has spoken on many of my stages, probably the greatest storyteller. Anyway, these are just a bunch of, this is my mentor, James Malinchak. I won Marketer of the Year at one of his events back in 1926, I think it was, when I first started speaking. So anyway, we have a bunch of testimonials on that site as well. But here are some people, Lori, that have gone through the program. So we did this program already once, and it became such a big thing that we turned it into a digital program. And where you're going to, so if you think James just gave you great information for those modules and how to create a story, each of those modules is about an hour or in an hour and a half. Here's some
Sometimes
more
2. Yeah.
Right. So we're going to go into depth, and you're going to hear some of these people that went through the program, a piece of their story, and then James and I directing their story. So you're going to hear us, how we direct their stories so that you can incorporate it into your story as well. This program was through the roof. Yes, you're going to, Morgan, you're going to get, when I think about low points, so I want to jump into here a moment and remind, how do I tell it? All right, we'll answer that question in a second. James, look at that question, and in a second.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it.
These are more people that went through the program. So anyway, there's a bunch of those people that went through the program. You can look at them on the website. We charged $1,000 to $2,000 for this digital program. You're going to get all those modules. You're going to get the bonus modules, everything, an hour and a half to 2 hours each, learning. And if, like I said, if you think James went into a little detail there, this is an hour and a half on each module. And then mine at the end, the RockStar Power marketing, how to get on stages, how to do all that stuff. So it's regular price. We sold this for $1,000 and $2,000 before. You're going to get it for $497. But there's one catch. Well, there's not really a catch. It's $497. The catch is this. No, there is a catch, because here's the website, rockstarpowerprogram.com/story. So everyone gets it for $497, no matter whatever. If there's a bonus though, I'm having a Rockstar Speaker Summit April 20th to the 22nd in Dallas, Texas. It's literally at the airport, at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. Most of you on this are already coming to this. And because you've written part of my book, you've been in a book of mine, or you're in my mastermind. But if you're listening to this webinar and you sign up for this $497 price, you're going to get a free ticket to this event. Now, here's the catch, what I was saying. I don't have any tickets left. It's sold out. But I've learned over the years that people don't show up. So I'm going to oversell my seminar, 20 tickets. I swear to you, you can look at all my posts. This seminar is sold out. But I'm banking on human nature of people not showing up at the last second. So if you sign up for this today, has to be now, today, then you get a free ticket to my event. And it's $397 to go to the Rockstar Speaker Summit. You're going to get it for free. So all you have to do is go to rockstarpowerprogram.com/story, all lowercase. And James, did we put that link in the?
We did, yeah. I'll put it in there again.
Just put it again. Just click on that link and go to the website, and it's only $497. You get all the modules. You get the workbook. You get everything to write an incredible 7-minute story, and then we have. You'll see in the encore, once you finish the 6 modules, we're doing something kind of cool. But you got to finish the 6 modules to see the encore.
Let me jump in real quick, because this is what's
James. Go ahead, jump
in. The water's fine. This is what's cool about this program, guys. So when we first did it, as we said, we did it live with some of the people that are on this call right now. And It was more money. It was a lot more money. What we did was we went in depth with these amazing people, diving in on their stories. Every question that you're going to have is going to be answered in this digital module.
Yep.
Like Craig said, they're not just like 5-minute videos or 15-minute videos. They're hour and a half, 2-hour videos, right? So there's like, how many? There's six videos. So there's at least
10 hours.
Probably 10 hours of video content in addition to those bonus videos. And those bonus videos are the ones I created, which talk about the base of communication, right? And our group, they now have access to them. Our first group didn't even have access to those when we did this program. We just added those as bonuses for you guys. You're going to get in-depth understanding of how this works, right? So that's, I just wanted to share with you. Let me answer Morgan's question.
Okay,
for
let me
everybody.
just answer this one
Yeah.
quick because it's a
Yeah,
fast
sure, go
one.
ahead.
Thumper asked, the life conference will be recorded so I can look at it later. If you're talking about the RockStar Speaker Summit, no, I never record my live events because I'm from the theater background and I can't stand watching, even as great as Phantom of the Opera is, I would hate to watch Phantom of the Opera, the Broadway production, filmed on my TV. It's awful. It is awful. I can't watch theater on a computer screen or a TV. So same thing with me. The live event, my RockStar Speaker Summit, you got to come in person. It's a different energy and you walk out of there on fire. And if you're a speaker or want to be a speaker, or you want to add how to do presentations, even one-on-one sales calls with people, that's what this is for. But the energy in the room is second to none. So the RockStar Speaker Summit is only live in person. It's in Dallas. It's at the Hyatt Regency in Terminal C. Basically, you fly into DFW Airport. It's at the airport. You get a little shuttle for 1 minute and you're at the hotel. I've made it very, very easy to attend. Now,
I'll be there.
Yeah, James is going to be there. He's performing there as well.
Wait, I am?
Yeah. Yeah.
Kidding. I am.
You dork. Yes, you are. You scared me for a second.
Nighttime shopping's heighten each. How's your steak?
So,
Hey, by the way,
even if you sign up for the digital program and you can't come, it's still worth $497. This is just a bonus. What, James?
Lena Fernandez says, signing up right now. Woohoo. And Morgan signed
Lena.
up, which is awesome.
Signed up, yeah.
Jeffrey said the session on identifying my stories, because Jeffrey was part of our program, was worth the entire investment on its own. And remember, he paid more. Great program, shifted my storytelling up several levels. Thanks, buddy. Can I answer Morgan's question now?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is a really interesting question. It's actually something that was brought up in the program. And it's, what if my story involves somebody else and there might be conflict with that person? So this is an interesting question, okay? Because oftentimes some things you may have gone through in your life are the result of being around somebody else. And it really depends upon you, okay? It depends upon what you feel is important to you. Now, for me, like, I'll be transparent. My father was an alcoholic, right? Amazing, amazing, amazing man, but a raging alcoholic. And I didn't talk about it. I talk about it now. I'm just starting to talk. My father passed away in 1999, 2000, right? I've never incorporated that as part of my story because I thought, wait a minute, am I bad-mouthing my father? Or am I showing that this man had a really horrific thing that he was struggling with and how it affected me and my family and my mom and my sister, right? I love the man, incredible human being, one of the most compassionate, caring individuals. But he had this demon that he could not control because of the addiction. It wasn't even him, right? So I never chose to talk about the story when he was alive. And again, I'm just starting to talk about it now. There were some people that went through our program that go, I don't give a rat's F about that person. They did this, blah, 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 blah. you have to realize that if you're telling a story and it involves somebody else, you're opening yourself up to whatever that person brings. And there could be some legal action, right? If the person feels you're saying something wrong. I mean, so be clear on that. You know, you see the tell-all books, right? I'm not a big fan of those tell-all books because it's somebody, oh, well, he did blah, 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 right? If it is your story, here's a suggestion. Let's say there was somebody in your life that something happened as a result of. You can say, you know what? I went through something in my life, and there was a person in my life that did blah. You don't have to name them. You don't have to call them out. You can talk around the story. You can even do a parable. You can say, listen, I'm going to share a story with you that's similar to what I went through, right? And in theater, it's called suspension of disbelief. Do you really believe that a guy with a mask in a $5,000 silk tuxedo with a flesh-eating disease was running around in the basement of the Paris Opera House?
Wait, that's not
probably.
a true story? That's not a true story?
Not really. Not really. What? Made millions and millions of dollars. Sorry, I burst the bubble.
Oh, no.
But there's something, Gaston Leroux wrote the novel, but there's something true about that, right? The idea that perhaps he saw that in himself. Mm. So we suspend the disbelief. The audience goes, oh, I believe it. I believe it. I believe Beauty and the Beast, which I did as well. There's this giant guy with a beast costume, you know, walking around and singing. I believe it. Because we're coming at it from a truthful place. I never, ever, ever fabricate something when it deals with my own life. Right? I never tell a lie in terms of, like, if I'm sharing a story, it's always truthful. Because if somebody goes, oh, you didn't do that, and I really didn't, then what does that do to my credibility? What does that do to the relationship, right? If there's something I don't want to talk about, I don't talk about it. That's my choice. It's your choice. So Morgan, what I would say is, you know, and knowing your situation a little bit, I would talk around it. I would use a parable or a similar story to talk around it without actually pointing the finger, unless you're willing to open yourself up to that. But as you said, you know, how do I tell the story without setting anyone else up for backlash? I never want to do that in my life. I never want to put somebody in a bad light, even if it wasn't the best situation. My goal is always to lift up. So if you can find a way to talk around it, and we can talk about this because Morgan got into the program, and I know Morgan outside. By the way, this woman creates, I'm just going to do a shout out for Morgan because she's awesome. She takes like dolls, I don't know how big they are, like 14 inches, and she handcrafts clothing and does the hair. And she's made them for many of the characters that I played on Broadway. They're unbelievable. Wow. Like handcrafts this stuff. So wow. An artist in her own right. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. So that's my idea behind, or my thought behind it. Does this make sense to you guys? Because yeah. It's not a unique situation, and it's dealt with, we deal with it a lot in terms of that question coming up. So
cool. Any other questions? Does anyone have any questions? You can just raise your physical hand if you have a question, because now I can see some. Yeah.
Or type them in.
Or type in a question.
Happy to answer any questiones. Sandra has one.
Penny Fleming, is that raising your hand or just?
Sandra's got a question. Sandra Hainsworth.
Okay, Sandra.
I have a question. If you guys are doing it live again, or is digital the only option right now?
Digital.
Because I love the idea. Bounce it.
Digital is the only option. However, after the digital, you have to do the digital first. But after the digital, there's another program that revolves a summit, like a retreat type thing. That's way more money, but that's one-on-one, not only for the 7-minute story, but for the 30-minute presentation. But you got to do the digital one first. So.
Got it. Thank you.
But there's a major thing that we're doing after this, but we haven't released it yet. I'm booking the place actually in an hour.
It's stunning. Yeah.
It is.
And here's the reason. I'll seed this again. We haven't released it. After you have your story, and you're like, great, I have my story. Now what? now what? Like, is it good enough? How do I be on stage? How do I move around? Remember when I first started doing this, I was around, and I still am, high level speakers, right? In front of 5,000, 4,000 people. And they're all my buddies, right? And I'm looking at him, I'm going, wait a minute, that dude just turned, he's in front of 4,000 people. He's like, and so anyway, and he turns up stage and he walks with his back to the audience. And I'm like, wait, where are you going? And I realized that although a lot of these great speakers have been doing it for a while, they're missing some key components. And fear of speaking is still the number one fear, believe it or not. So one of the major points is, okay, now that I have my story crafted, I need to refine it. I need to expand it. How do I actually take it to market? How do I do it on stage? How do we put it out there? How is it directed? How do I stand? Where do I walk? How do I pitch? So, but all that needs to happen. I mean, the story needs to happen before you actually get on stage. You need to know what you're doing.
A couple more questions. Someone's asking, Mary Lou, is this included in my mastermind? So Mary Lou's in my mastermind, my RockStar mastermind. This digital course is not included. This is a totally separate thing. But what I was saying is, if you got the digital course, you get a free ticket to my event, the summit, which you're already going to because you're in my mastermind. So you could bring a friend if you want for free, but you already get to come to my events because you're in my mastermind. But the digital course is separate. Lori Miller, RockStar Power Program, Dallas dates, please. So to be clear, the RockStar Power Program that we just did a webinar on is a digital course that's $497. If you buy this course today, then you get a free ticket to my RockStar Speaker Summit, which is my 3-day, 2.5-day event in Dallas to talk about everything speaking, like everything speaking, doing your own events, getting booked on stages. How do you market yourself? Doing one sheets, sizzle reels, all that stuff is my event in Dallas. And that is April 20 to 22. April 20, 21, and 22. RockStar Summit dates, yes, April 20, 21, and 22 in Dallas at the airport. This is like this a no-brainer. If you saw the videos, and there's some people on here, just go look at the testimonials that went through the course. It's amazing. It's truly amazing. And trust me, they ask the questions. That's why we released it like this. James and I were going to re-record and just do it without the participants, but they were asking all the right questions that you're going to ask. That's why we didn't do it live again, because it would be just more money. We wanted you to get less money to do this, to write your 7-minute story with questions that they asked that you would be asking. Trust me, we hit everything: addiction, bullying, one person households, like single moms, single dads. We hit every question that you could possibly ask in these seminars. So you're going to see an example of how someone had this question, and James and I went through their what to do for their story for the beginning, middle, and end.
And again, and even people that said, I don't have a story. There's nothing I have to tell. And you quickly find out that they do. And in fact, one of those guys gave us a really amazing testimonial. Jeffrey just said something in the chat. He said, I'm in Craig's mastermind and paid more to be in the first group. It was worth every penny, and they've added more since. Thank you, buddy. And keep adding value. At this price, it'll be all over. Yeah.
You can do it again, Jeff. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. It's a total joke. Jeffrey's been in
my goal, guys, let me just share my goal, honestly, is that everybody's got something important to share. And I truly, truly, truly believe that there's somebody out there waiting for what you have to say, because they're sitting in a situation, and they're sitting in a situation where they're in doubt, and they're like, can I do this? It could be as simple as, can I start a new business? Or it could be as deep as, can I actually make it to my next day? Because there are people out there. People need to hear your story. you're on here, you're in this mastermind, you're working with Craig because you already understand that. There are people out there that need to know and need to hear what you're having to share, because it's going to change their lives and help them. So that to me is why this is why it's important to me.
Yeah.
And, Craig and I, we talk money. Like when I work with CEO, I mean, it's a ton of money to work with people just because of time. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to make it available just because I know, and Craig knows, that the importance of what you have to share goes beyond even the dollar amount. So I just wanted to share that with you.
And my wife, I think I can share this. She's in the other room and she's going to go, oh no, what's he going to say? But I know she's okay saying this. I'm okay saying this. She had cancer back in 2006, Hodgkin's lymphoma cancer, but she never wanted to talk about it. She just never wanted to, because she said she felt broken and, and all these things. When you get cancer, you feel all these emotions. And I said, and for years, 17 years now, she's cured of cancer, thank God. But just now, starting at my April event, Natasha James kept listening to our program, the program that we did, and she wrote her 30-minute presentation, and she's going to share everything that she's never shared before, and she's going to finally share her journey with cancer for the first time ever. And it was because she was in the other room and she kept saying, all right, I guess I should do this, because if there's one person out there that I can help get through what I went through, then I guess that's why I was diagnosed with cancer. She never said that she got cancer, by the way. She was always like, I was diagnosed with it, but I don't even believe I had it, but I did the work to get rid of it. But she will never own that she had cancer. She was diagnosed with this disease, but I'm not owning it. It's good. So you got to share your story. You have to do that. I ended up.
Anybody have any questions again? Even about story or about what we talked about, even if it's not about the program, like how to craft it, anything you're stuck on.
Elena is just joined my mastermind like 6 weeks ago. She has an event coming up. Or she had it already. What's today's date? Elena, did you have the event yet? What's today's date?
Had it sold out, Craig.
All right, you go, girl. She's the positive mom. She is such a spitball of fire, this woman. She is. I've known her for a long time, and it took her 42 years to join my mastermind, but she finally did it. Okay.
And it's worth it. It's paid off in less than 6 weeks.
I
can't recommend it enough. And I'm signed up for the story program as well.
Did you sign up?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I didn't see it. It didn't come through.
Oh, maybe I haven't clicked submit.
Maybe you have to hit submit. I don't know. I didn't see it. Maybe I'm not seeing these. Oh God. Did anyone else sign up already? Just nod. Okay. I'm not seeing it. I'm a little worried now if you signed up and I didn't see it come through. But it will work it out. It'll be worked out. All right. Anything else by anybody else? Anyone else? Any questions or anything? All right. I think we're done. We only took 12 hours. Wait, Penny, do you have a question or are you adjusting your camera? I apologize.
She asked if there's a replay of this in the chat.
So we will, everybody that signed up for this will get the video of this. So you're all going to get the video. And yeah, you're all going to get the video. That sign up. There is a replay. Yes, Penny. All right, very good. We are done here. Our work is done. Mary Lou, good to see you. Whenever I see your smiling face. Okay, I'm done. We're done, right? All right. We're done.
I think so.
Bye, everybody. Hope to see you in April.
Thanks for the subject. Love it.
Love it.